Well, the goal is to drum up investment for the city of Toronto. Mayor Tory in London, England, on a two-day business mission, and joins me now live via Skype. Good morning to you, Mayor Tory.
Good morning, Melanie.
I know you were literally pulled out of a meeting to do this, so I appreciate that. The obvious question here is why travel abroad in the midst of this COVID-19 situation that we're looking at right now?
Well, first of all, with regard to COVID-19, I've been in touch with the medical officer of health this morning, and my staff have been on conference calls with them, and they're making all the plans they have to make. And quite frankly, I think, as we've said from the beginning, this is something that the medical professionals are by and large looking after. When I spoke with her this morning, I asked her once again, as I do almost every time I talk to her, if not every time, is there anything more you need that you're not getting from the government? Are all the plans moving forward that we have to make in case things change? And she said, no, they were getting all the help they need, that the situation since I left 2 days ago hadn't changed, and that they were being very diligent. And so in the meantime, I have the opportunity to be out doing something that's also important, in addition to protecting the health and safety of the public, which is to get jobs in Toronto. We have 70,000 people coming to Toronto every year, and they need to work somewhere. And so I'm meeting with one of Britain's largest toy retailers to say, you should establish a store in Toronto. They're very interested. I'm meeting with a company that's in the autonomous vehicle helping transit, which we're doing in Toronto Micro Transit to move people around. So there's all kinds of these meetings that have to happen. Toronto's a great product, but it doesn't sell itself. Very few products sell themselves. Somebody has to go out and sit down with people and say, here's what we can do for you. Here's why you should come to Toronto, and create jobs. And that's an important part of my job, too.
Sure. Mayor Tory, what's the appetite right now, considering the situation that we're looking at globally, of people looking at investment, even wanting to stay put? Tourism will be suffering, at least in the short term right now. Is there an appetite for investment in other countries and other cities?
Well, yes, because the kind of people I'm meeting with who tend to be the CEOs of these companies and entrepreneurs who've done very well, they tend to be people who understand, as I do, because I come from a business background, that, yes, we have some short-term issues that are facing us, and they're serious issues. We're going to handle them well in Toronto, as we have been doing. But that, after that is over, you still have the need to get investment and jobs in Toronto to employ people and to keep our economy growing. And so, the time we're investing now, 2 days, to meet 15 different companies, I would predict to you a fair number of them will decide to invest in Toronto, because I can just tell from the 3 or 4 meetings we've already had today that they're interested in a big, successful market like ours. And you cannot sort of sit back and sort of assume, well, we'll wait till some other time to sit down and meet with these people. You have to meet with them now, because their decision-making cycle takes a while. And I'm optimistic, though, that during this term of my period in office, that a good number of these people will invest and will create jobs, will create economic activity, and that is vital to the continued success of our city.
And where is the focus right now, the investment? We know that Toronto has become a major tech hub. Of course, the Collision Tech Conference, which was supposed to be held here, put on hold due to our current situation right now. But where is the focus? Is tech the future for us?
Well, I think tech or some emanation thereof. So when we met with the drone company this morning, the autonomous vehicle company, they call themselves Street Drone. They're talking about something that relates to transit. It relates to autonomous vehicle development. It relates to the environment, in that they're talking about smaller, autonomous vehicles, in other words, driverless vehicles that actually shuttle people around. And people think this is 10 years off in the future. It's not. And I want to just make sure that not only do they make their services available to us through the TTC or Metrolinx or whatever, but if they have R&D to do on this, that we have the smart people in Toronto to be employed to help do their R&D work, as Uber is doing, as others are doing, General Motors. So that's my job, is to be out drumming up these people who want to come to Toronto because they hear from me or somebody else that there are smart people in Toronto, lots of them, that there are other companies that they want to partner up with. And so a lot of it's going to be tech related, but there's many different businesses. The business we just came from, they want to be in the kind of shared workspace business, and to some extent in the accommodation and entertainment business. So a toy retailing. I said, you may think, what about that? If we can establish a toy store in Toronto that is like the FAO Schwartz that a lot of people will have visited in New York, it becomes a tourist attraction. It becomes a major retail presence. They want to establish maybe 6 of them in Toronto because they understand how dynamic and successful our market is. And it's my job to sell that, to sell them, to do what I can to make sure that I convince them to come to Toronto so they create jobs for Torontonians.
But can you play chopsticks is the question.
I don't know what's that
Yeah.
other game with the pile of things up and the I'm forgetting the name of it momentarily.
Yeah,
But I'll do
Jenga,
anything
yeah.
I have to do to get I'll do anything I have to do to get jobs to Toronto,
Okay.
and I am staying in close touch with what's going on in the city all day, every day, including, as I said, talking to the Chief Medical Officer of Health this morning. And this notion that I have to be sitting at my desk waiting for somebody to phone me, they're planning for every eventuality. They're doing everything that needs to be done. The city is handling this very well, but I leave it to the health and medical professionals to develop the plans as they're doing. It's my job to make sure they're doing that, and it's my job to make sure they have the support when those plans are needed, if they are, and all of that is happening.
Okay, Mayor Tory, I appreciate your time. Get back in those meetings. Thank you for that.